All right, gang, I am, it's actually 10:45 in the morning right now. So I'm off to go see an early morning screening of Disney's Pete's Dragon. Not to be confused with Puff the Magic Dragon.
Puff the magic dragon, live by the sea.
Because we all know what that song's all about. Am I right?
No, I don't know. Why don't you tell me?
You know, it's about, you know.
Puff's just the name of the boy's magical dragon.
Right.
Anywho, I'm really interested in this film. There is this new recent phenomenon from Disney of them sort of remaking and retooling a lot of their iconic and hugely profitable animated films into live action iterations. It seems like they're kind of just slavishly and lazily going to the creative well, and they're just regurgitating a lot of the prominent films in their catalog. And anyone that's followed me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, what have you, knows that I have been very notoriously hard on Disney as a corporation lately because of the fact that they seem less interested in sort of intrepidly moving forward with daringly new and original content, and instead they're just kind of feeding us regurgitated leftovers of yesteryear in a newly repackaged form. Having said that, a lot of their films, live action film adaptations of their animated classics, have been actually pretty good. Jungle Book from this year was fantastic. I enjoyed Cinderella, but you know, it just seems like they're churning these out one right after the other, and I'm fearing that today's youth is just getting our stale leftovers. That's kind of what I'm a little bit worried about. This brings me to Pete's Dragon. Pete's Dragon, I'm going to defend this remake a little bit more before going to see it, because this one essentially is a really obscure, like 1970s live action animated musical that I'm willing to wager that I would say 80 to 90% of the people going in to see this new version probably have never seen.
He's back. Walt Disney Productions. Invisible, impossible, troublesome, massive mischief. Pete's Dragon.
Wow, that's great. You're the most wonderful dragon in the whole world.
And I personally think, having seen the original, there's room for improvement. And because of its relative obscurity, I don't have as much of a problem with this film being remade as some of the other ones, I guess. So anyway, enough of the chit-chat. Let's get to the theater, watch this puppy, and then I'll be back with a review. All right, gang, I just got out of Pete's Dragon, and you know what? I'm just gonna dispense with any long-winded introductions by saying that this is a positively wonderful and magical and, you know, calmly rendered yet emotionally moving family film that everybody needs to see.
You know, word travels in this town.
I also think it is probably one of the best pure remakes to come out of Hollywood in an awfully long time. You know, it's so funny. Like, to me, the summer film season has been just one unending disappointment after another. I would go on record to say that this summer film season is probably one of the worst of recent memory, if not of all time. And it's so wonderful to see little diamond in the rough entertainments like this really just kind of come out late in the season to sort of reaffirm your faith that yes, there is some goodness and some inherent goodness out there in the film world, especially in the last several months where there just hasn't been a lot of good, worthwhile films to seek out.
Yes!
Basically, Pete's Dragon is about this young boy named Pete who, because of a very tragic set of circumstances at the beginning of the film, he's on this car trip with his family, and unfortunately, while trying to evade a deer that ran across the road, there's a hellish car crash, and the parents die, leaving the child an orphan. One thing that's really quite impactful about this film is the way it really sells the tragedy of the moment without resorting to a lot of sensationalistic violence and so forth. It's really done with tact and taste and a lot of good editorial tricks and cutting away, and it's very tastefully rendered, yet quite moving and sad at the same time. So this young child, over the course of the next 6 years, basically helps raise himself in the forest with the aid of his magical dragon, which he names Elliot after the character of the storybook that he took with him into the woods.
It's just the name of the boy's magical dragon.
Right.
Elliot is this fantastic computer-generated creation, sort of like how Toothless in the How to Train Your Dragons movies was sort of very feline-like. He basically was a big cat. Elliot in this film exhibits a lot of canine behavior. He is essentially a big, fluffy dog who just happens to be the size of a building and has wings and can fly and can breathe fire.
I don't want to leave you, but they'll come looking for you.
Eventually, a forest ranger, played very well in a very serene performance by Bryce Dallas Howard, discovers this boy, does take him in, which unfortunately causes him to be separated from his pet dragon, which is sort of very emotionally taxing on the young boy.
He says he wasn't alone.
And of course, he is trying to relay who Elliot is to all these people. Not very many people, of course, really understand what he's talking about or understand that he's really referring to his magical pet dragon.
Is Elliot a person?
No, it looks like a dragon. What's a dragon? You'll see. I have Elliot.
Who's Elliot?
Just the name of the boy's magical dragon.
Right.
But there's one man in particular, Bryce Dallas Howard's character's father, played by Robert Redford, who takes a keen interest in the boy's story because his character may or may not have had a face-to-face meeting with the same dragon all these years ago. Robert Redford, he's not in the film a lot, but he has this absolutely wonderful and pitch perfectly acted moment where he engages in this monologue where he tries to relay to his daughter his first encounter with the dragon, and it's done with such charming sincerity and credibility because it just really helps to sell the odd veracity of this larger than life film. So I really like the acting choices, and you know, guys like Redford, he just sort of has this low-key fly under the radar gravitas that really brings a lot of dramatic weight to films. And that moment in question is just, it's as perfectly acted as any moment in this film. I really appreciate the fact that they really helped establish the central relationship between this young boy and this dragon. There are long stretches of this film where they are separated, and I think that really helps to sort of communicate the loving bond that they have. And Elliot, as a computer-generated creation, he's really a marvel of modern visual effects fakery. Even though consciously you're watching the film, he's like, yes, he is a computer-generated effect. Yes, he is fake. But yet he really feels like a real entity in this film and in Elliot's life. They do such a wonderful and bravura job of like marrying live action together with computer effects. It's really all rather thanklessly done.
You're very brave. Did you know that?
You might be the bravest boy I've ever met.
Peach Dragon, ultimately, it's the kind of film that I really desperately wanted the BFG to be. The BFG, of course, being that Spielberg film, another disappointing film that came out earlier in this summer. And that film, it just didn't have the heart and the emotional weight to me that this film had. If anything, Peach Dragon feels positively more Spielbergian than even like the BFG did. I just like the whole tone, the whole approach that this film took. And man, when it hits you in the gut with some of its emotional and dramatic punches, they really do work. I mean, you really sense the level of separation anxiety that this poor semi-feral kid has with losing and being taken away from his dragon, and the threat that a lot of local hunters have with wanting to trap this dragon and do, I guess, whatever with him. That's one of my little nitpicky criticisms of the film, I guess, is that Karl Urban, a really good headstrong actor, is kind of playing a relatively one-note antagonist in this film, that all he wants to do is hunt down this thing and capture him. He doesn't really have motivations beyond it, other than the fact that he just wants to capture a monster.
You have no idea what this thing is capable of. Let's go hunting.
He really fails to see that this monster is indeed, he's an animal that's misunderstood and maybe not a vengeful and dangerous creature. So that the whole angle of his character, it's kind of been there, done that. But you know what, that's kind of just needless nitpicking, because that has a lot of really strong dramatic beats to it. It's both exciting yet very touching and heartwarming at the same time. It's so decidedly hard in this cynical movie-going day and age to say that you've come across a really pure and honest and sincere and heart-tugging family film that's not so damn saccharine that it gives you a cavity just watching it, but at the same time it doesn't wallow in being subversive and cynical in the way that a lot of, I think, family films are trying to be. Too many family films these days feel like they're trying to be edgy, like being wholesome is somehow against the grain and against the norm of what modern children and modern family audiences want. Peach Dragon is a terrifically wholesome and moving family film. I'm really worried about how well it's going to track this weekend, because the cinema I was at was borderline empty. If this film bombs, it'll be an absolute cinematic crying shame, because all families should be seeking out this remarkably well done family film and intrinsically really well handled remake that completely enhances and expands upon its antecedent in ways that I frankly found very surprising and rewarding for that matter. I think it's one of the most sublime surprises to emerge out of a very crappy summer film season. So there you have it. There's my thoughts on Peach Dragon. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the film, if you went out to see it. Let me know also in the comments if you've seen the original Peach Dragon and how you found that film compared to this one. Also, if you could like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it. That would mean the world to me. Thank you very much for watching and for all of your support from my YouTube videos. And I'll see you at the movies, everybody.
Are you a pothead fucker?
No. What? No.